Stan, we're ready. Okay, it's 5:30. If I can have your attention, welcome. We're going to begin with the invocation by one of our commissioners, Jerry Langley. Jerry?
Let us pray. O Lord our God, how excellent is your name in all of the earth. God, we're just grateful and thankful for this opportunity to assemble ourselves here together. God, we're thanking you now for the Advent season as we come to the close of another year. Father, we invite your presence here, that everything that we say and do will be decent and in order, and it will be for the benefit of your people. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jerry. At this time, I'll call our December Board of Commissioners meeting to order, and I'll ask that you rise at this time, and Commissioner Tandy Dunn will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll ask that you turn your phones off, please. We're down to the conflict of interest disclosure. Is there anyone that needs to disclose a conflict with a potential agenda item? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the approval of the agenda. Hood has asked that we move the discussion on the SNAP program to let's see, pardon? Okay, we'll do it under presentation, so that'll be item number 3 under the presentation. So with that change, could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Now we're down to the election of chairman and vice chairman, and Katie, you're in charge of that.
Yes, sir. Every year we go through, in December, you have hold an election for chairman and vice chairman, and at this time I will take nominations for chairman.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Would love to, let me get my microphone on. Okay. I want to place in contention Frankie Waters, who does a wonderful job and will continue to do so. What an honor.
Are there any other nominations at this time?
Madam Chairman, I would nominate Stan Deathridge.
Any other nominations? Hearing no more nominations, all those for Commissioner Waters, please raise your hand. All those for Commissioner Deathridge, please raise your hand. Mr. Chairman, you get to go for another year.
Thank you.
We'll move on to vice chairman at this time. Any nominations for vice chairman, please?
I nominate Jerry Langley.
I nominate Tandy Dunn.
Are there any other nominations? All those for Commissioner Langley, please raise your hand. All those for Commissioner Dunn? And at this time, Mr. Chairman, if you'd like to change the chair orders, you can.
At this time, I've chosen not to change anyone. We seem to work better as a team in the chairs that we're already in, so don't want to disturb that. Okay, we're down to items for presentation. The first one is the service award presentation. Dolores?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We have one employee here tonight to accept their service award. I have Kimberly Bond with the Department of Social Services with 10 years of service. have one other employee that I would like to acknowledge that is not here tonight, and that's Tanya Dahlim. She has 10 years of service with our tax collector's office.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next item for presentation is Immigration and Custom Enforcement Discussion. Sheriff Scott Hammonds.
Hey, good evening, Chairman. Appreciate the invite here to answer questions about immigration and custom questions that you may have. But I want to tell you real quick that the state of the office is in great condition, great service. We're continuing to serve Beaufort County without any lack of services, and the men and women of our office are doing a great job. And I hear it daily from the citizens of our county, and I just want to make sure you're aware that we're not costing you more than we have to, and we're getting the best services out of the men and women. So, any questions about this topic?
I thought that this was more of an informational session for you to tell us what you were doing, how you were proceeding with the new law, and what the actual practice is, mainly for the benefit of the public.
Yeah, well, it is, and I just want to get your questions out so I know where you.
Well, I don't know anything till I know what you know.
Big target shooting me out there. So, sometime back there, all right, let me see. In my 3 years here at the office, we've only had four ICE detainers that have come through our jail. And to date, we still have one currently in Beaufort County Jail that's under detainer. So all of them have been processed through the immigrations process. So that's, and there is a process how they come in through the magistrate's office. Make every effort to determine whether they're legal citizens or not. And now under the new law, and I believe you should have the insert, House Bill 318, that discusses how the new program or how the new process will walk through the magistrate's office to determine whether they're a lawful legal citizen. And if that determination cannot be made within a reasonable time, then a magistrate, the clerk of court, or a judge has the authority to make a decision to send them back to the jail. And that's within a 2-hour time frame. That decision or that determination has to be made. And if it cannot be made at that point, then we go forward on processing them through trying to make determination of legality there in the jail through the jail administrator. So that process has worked. That process was used under the last two we had brought in approximately 2 weeks ago. So the process is working.
Is the determination made by, who has the responsibility for that determination?
The determination comes through the process. So when they come in through the magistrate, we bring them into jail, we run the fingerprinting based on the charges that are that they're being charged for. Mm-hmm. For an example, a DWI. I'll just name one. That's the most common. But that's one of many. Then that's a mandate to fingerprint. And once that fingerprint has been processed, then it goes up into the world of, to a federal, where federal agencies can view based on flags. And if that flag hits using immigration, if it hits that agency, then they make a inquiry or a communication back to us to put a detainer on them, whether they choose to put a detainer on. They may even send us a letter or a fax saying they're considering putting a detainer on. So that's the process.
But the actual work is done by your department,
That's correct.
the sheriff's department. Now, so what this means is everybody that comes through the jail that's fingerprinted is going to go into
To the
that
database.
system.
And whether
Okay.
they're flagged or not,
Yeah, whether they want them or not,
That's
something
right.
else. But what kind of offenses would you be put into jail for and not be fingerprinted, as an example?
it could be any, it could be a misdemeanor or larceny, or it could be a misdemeanor. We wouldn't necessarily, there's not a mandate of fingerprinting on non-felony cases, but there are some high-level misdemeanors that require.
That do require fingerprinting.
That's correct.
So if the law doesn't require fingerprinting, you don't fingerprint them,
That's correct.
so they can go through without being fingerprinted?
That's correct.
Okay, wouldn't it be good law enforcement practice if we had a fingerprint database of people when they come back through over and over again for positive
We
ID?
do. Well, there's still the due process of one's rights, and that's just the way the law is written, and we conform and comply with the way the law is written.
Okay, so if they don't require fingerprinting under the law, you don't fingerprint?
No, sir.
Okay.
Commissioner Langley.
This is just for clarification.
Yes, sir.
Your department does not go out looking for illegal immigrants.
We do not.
No. Basically, if you encounter someone who is, then you will do your job, but beyond that, you have plenty to do besides looking for illegal immigrants.
That's right.
So I commend you for that, because the citizens of Beaufort County deserve your first choice of who to help. And then after that, I mean, if you encounter them, do your job, but beyond that, continue to do what you're doing. You're doing a good job, so just continue to stay with that, and don't let anybody force you into doing something you should not be doing.
Absolutely not. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay.
Sheriff, thank you for the great job you're doing. I appreciate it. I really enjoy working with you, and I know you're trying to keep the costs down. You're doing a wonderful job keeping drugs off the street. And I know you want to work with ICE all you can. I appreciate that. I just have a few questions. In your opinion, and with your knowledge, which is growing daily, if an illegal was in your jail, who pays for that person to be detained in our jail?
The state or the county is going to pick up all the tab until the adjudications.
County's going to pick all that up.
That's correct.
And we got to pay for it. We got to pay for their medical, everything, right?
If they are, yeah, basically if they can't afford it and we don't have if they can't afford it, we're going to pay for it.
Yes. And so far, you've had 4 detainees since you've been in office.
3 years.
Two recently. Did they pick up one and not pick up the other?
No, in that case, they were both brought in on the same calendar day.
Yeah. Okay, and just one has been picked up by ICE.
One of them made bond.
Oh, one made bond?
Yeah.
You don't hold him if he's a detainee? They didn't know he was a detainee at that. I mean, he was detainable
They
at that time.
didn't. They did not. The detainer didn't require to hold.
Oh, it did not. So that's on them.
That's correct.
Okay. Understanding that people in Beaufort County have to pay for these illegals in our jail, and it is costly. It costs a lot. We found that out over the years. It's one of our biggest costs we have as county commissioners. Is there a way that you can determine without the flags whether they are illegal or not when you pick up somebody?
No, no. We work off of DCI and CJ Lee's. We work off the same databases that we do for local wants and warrants, and that does not determine whether one's legal or not. So that's a work of the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we run through our database that's available to us.
If they speak very poor English or no English at all, is that not an indicator?
Well, no, that's not correct.
Thank you.
No, yeah, because if you look at the many nationalities and that could be determined to be legal or illegal, I mean, not all of them are from the Hispanic population. Many, you know, you got we got Chinese restaurants, we got Mexican restaurants, we got Asian restaurants, we got
But the
Russian
determiner
or-
is do they speak English or not? I mean, regardless of
Well,
what
now you know,
part of the world they
now
come
you know
from.
that ain't, yeah, I don't base, I don't base the arrest or the charges based on English speaking.
I know. I'm just wondering, how can we, as a people here in North Carolina, with our General Assembly, give you the powers to try to determine who may or may not be a citizen? Because I think a lot are slipping through the cracks if you've only gotten 4 over the years.
Well, and it's really not that complicated when you're out out in the county working. It's not that complicated because you either encounter a criminal or not, and we deal with criminal activity.
I understand that. I
I'm
understand
not,
that.
to the commissioner's point, we don't do a canvas conversation. We don't walk up to a group that appear to be hanging out and just start asking for identification. That is not a Sheriff Hammond's kind of way.
I understand. But understanding how inefficient government can be, and it is, and I've been up here 25 years, and I see great inefficiencies in government here in the county, here in the city of Washington, and just trying to be more efficient.
Right.
So that we can stem the tide of how much it costs to run government, because it's gotten more and more and more expensive every year I've been up here. And I just would hope that at the state level, they'll give you the general statutes where you could determine possibly what they may be and contact ICE and let them make the final determination whether they need to pick that person up or not.
Well, if that law were to change, absolutely, that's the way we're going to, operation will go with. But at this time, that's not the conveniences, that's not the formalities of the way our general statutes are written. The legislators
understand.
hadn't provided that.
But we had about 15 million come across that southern border, invited and flown in.
And I'm as eager to take the criminal out of Beaufort County, whether they're legal or illegal, but yes, there's statistics that show illegal people who are here have created crimes that are violent, and for the legal ones that are here creating violent.
Well, they were brought
Crimes.
in for a purpose.
And we're eager to catch them, and we use our analysis, our intelligence analysis. And we do go out, and we got them in jail that are legal citizens who create heinous and violent crimes.
Well, you do a great job, and I appreciate you doing what you do, staying within the statutes to do all you can do, and you're doing well. I just hope the statutes will give you more power later to be more effective and ICE be more effective. Because when they're in our country illegally, they are here illegally.
Yeah.
And eventually, we're going to, at some point, they're going to, those that are here without crimes associated with them, they're going to be the next to be rounded
And
up.
I encourage, I share the same, if they're not lawfully in this country,
Yeah.
then they are illegal, and that's a crime.
There was a great irony that some people were talking about. If they're here, they're really making us money, and they're not. They're not. It's costing us a lot of money, an incredible amount of money, and trillions of dollars. And we're seeing it now, so we got to get rid of them.
Anyone else have a question of,
I want to go back.
Okay.
Everybody else does.
anyone else? All right,
What happens if you've arrested someone, have them in the jail, and they don't fall under the purview of having to have their fingerprints taken, and someone accuses them of being illegal? Say, anybody says, look, that guy's illegal, I'm telling you. Maybe the wife's got him for abuse or something, and all of a sudden you get tipped that he's illegal. What happens with that?
You stated two ways, through a tip or through an allegation or
Either way,
accusation. You know, and every tip is worth investigating. And if it's a tip that we have a hunch on whether there's part of that story that still needs to be told, then it'll definitely be looked into, because they, as long as they're in custody of that crime, it's got to pertain to that crime, of course.
Well, the risk is if someone's accused and it's not followed up, and then they create a more heinous crime later on, then that makes you look bad.
We certainly go through those steps prior to.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I hope I answered. You good?
You did great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
I like
Scott.
you using those words, great, but
Hey, Sheriff Hammonds, you are great.
I appreciate
you.
everyone. Thank you.
All right. The next item we moved to number 3 was the SNAP changes. Good evening.
Good evening. So Commissioner Richardson requested information regarding the SNAP requirements, the new requirements for the HR 1 bill that came about. So those changes actually that were implemented take effect today, December the 1st. So the work requirements for food nutrition services is what they call the ABODs. They are the able-bodied adults without dependents. That policy has been around for years. I've been implementing that policy for years. However, the age range for that policy was from 18 to the age 54, that you had to be working or volunteering at least 20 hours per week in order to receive food nutrition services. If you were not working or volunteering 20 hours a week, then you are only eligible to receive 3 months of benefits within a 3-year time span. With the new changes for the HR 1 bill, that policy is changing for the age group. It's changing from 18 to 54 to 18 to 64, and is also changing some of the individuals that were previously exempt from those work requirements, but are now no longer meet that exemption. So those individuals across the statewide, this is going to impact the possibility of impacting 173,000 individuals across the state. I do not have a number of how many individuals that may impact for Beaufort County at this time, due to the fact that they are working on the changes in the NC FAST system. Then that is something that we may be able to receive at the earlier part of the year. Some of the exemptions that previously were able to meet an exemption but are now not able to, or one of the exemptions is foster youth until the age of 24. Previously, if they were previously in foster care at that time, the day that they turned 18, they were able to meet an exemption until they turned age 24, meaning that they could continue to receive food nutrition services until they turned 24 without having to meet that work requirement. That is one of the exemptions that is no longer can be met. So as of now, once a foster care child turns age 18, then they will be required to meet those work requirements as well. Parents, so previously an able-bodied adult without a dependent meant a dependent under the age of 18. They have changed that age range from 18 to 14. So individuals that have a child aged 14 to 18 now fall into that group where they are now responsible for meeting the work requirements as well. Veterans, previously, as long as they were a veteran, then they could meet the exemption as well. Now, the only veterans that are able to meet that exemption are those that are receiving a disability payment. Some veterans only receive a partial disability amount. It does not matter the amount of the disability percentage they are receiving, as long as they are receiving any portion of a veteran disability payment, then they are able to meet that exemption where they do not have to meet those work requirements. The last one is individuals that are experiencing homelessness. Previously, individuals that were homeless, they could have an exemption. And so what they've done is actually defined and made a clearer verification for what homelessness means. So an individual that may have been couch surfing, just staying with a friend, if they were staying on a couch and didn't have a home, then they could meet that exemption. That has changed. So now the only homelessness population that are able to meet that exemption are those that are defined as chronic homelessness, where they're actually living on the street or they are or staying in a shelter. So as I mentioned, those requirements started as of today. So those individuals will be able to receive 3 months of food and nutrition services. At the end of the 3 months, those individuals will be receiving a notice in the mail letting them know that their benefits will terminate. If they are able to meet an exemption, then we will work with those individuals to see, what exemption they are able to meet for them to continue to be able to receive benefits.
All this takes effect today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
You good?
I'm good.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have a question. At the last meeting, I requested some numbers from your department on SNAP recipients. I wanted to look at the variables of what SNAP recipients were in 2020 and what SNAP recipients we have now in 2025, and I wanted to correlate those numbers and see if I could find any data from that. I have not received those numbers yet. I was going to get them within a few days, and I have not gotten
So
them.
we emailed them.
Not to me.
Okay, then I'll have to forward it to you.
Okay, you got Stan Deathridge, stan@beaufortcountynow.com. If you were to send it to my government address,
I
it
replied.
should have come.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
I didn't get it. I was the one that didn't get it.
I got it.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I'm very cognizant of my emails.
So we can make sure that you received it.
Maybe it's the problems over here. I don't know, but I didn't get it.
Because I think I went back and I was able to pull those numbers. And I think the email was actually sent out the following day from the last meeting.
Was it 8,400 recipients in Beaufort?
Currently, yes, sir.
Well, I must have got it then because I got the number.
I'm the only one that didn't get it. I'm the one that requested it.
I do remember from the numbers, I can't remember all the numbers going back to that couple years ago
Just
in
send
my
it to
head,
me.
but, the numbers were higher at one time because of COVID. Individuals were not employed, they had less hours, and so, but, the numbers during that time frame, you will see a certain, definitely increase in those numbers.
Can I request 2019 then? Since COVID was an anomaly,
Okay.
will probably never happen again.
Yeah, we can get that information to you.
I would appreciate that. And you've got my email?
It was sent on November the 4th at 4:09 PM to all county commissioners.
I didn't get it.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions of Amy or Lori? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Katie, did you have any public comments? Okay, no public comments. Okay, we're down to legislative updates, and I see Representative Kidwell's here. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Appreciate the time this evening with you. Wanted to kind of give you an update of where we are at the General Assembly. Talk a little bit about the budget. What I'm discouraged to report is that certain members, President Pro Tem and some other members of the House, thought it was more important, or the Senate rather, thought it was more important to outlaw our ability to catch fresh shrimp here in eastern North Carolina. I branded that Shrimpgate. And instead of passing a budget, they were spending time on that, trying to kill your ability to buy raw milk and also prevent you from being able to sue chemical companies if they caused harm to you or your family members through the use of chemicals. I find that despicable, that we couldn't figure out a way to get to a budget, but we had time to play those types of games through the legislature. Where are we with the budget? Right now, absolutely nowhere. The House passed a very responsible budget, did not create any new taxes. We simply made an adjustment to the triggers that we had to hit as far as revenue in order for the tax cuts, which were 0.25% each time those cuts come into play. It means about $50 to the average citizen in the course of a year, maybe. So that we did not create new tax. We simply adjusted that trigger as you would responsibly do with any budget. You're going to adjust your numbers as reality sets in. We did fully refill the rainy day fund. As you're well aware, that got severely hampered by the current events in both eastern and western North Carolina with Hurricanes Helene and the other storms that we've had. We brought teachers' pay up by 8.7% in that budget, and that's probably the big sticking points on our end, and we're not going to move off of those. The reason is the Senate version of the budget will just start off with a 1.2% teacher pay increase, which is not a raise. That's why I didn't call it that. That's an insult. It's a slap in the face. It doesn't even keep up with the cost of living. So you're actually not doing them any good at all by doing that. So the House unanimously in our caucus has decided we will hold off for an appropriate budget.
Sorry about that, Keith.
Not a problem, Mr. Chairman. It's your house, not mine. So
It's our
you
house.
can do what you want.
It's all our houses,
Well, he's in charge right now, right?
not of me.
I just hit the wrong button.
I got you. All right, anyway, so that's kind of where we are with that. I am very pleased to talk to you about some tours I did of most all the schools in Beaufort County. We have 2 left to do. We still need to go to Bath Elementary and John Small. Went to every other school in Beaufort County, in fact, in the district, over the last couple of months. Gentlemen, it's amazing the difference I saw in our school systems from when I took these tours about 5 years ago. I noticed a difference in the children, in the way they respect themselves, in the way their attire is presented. I noticed that even in the teachers, that there was a big change in the attire of the teachers. Last time I went through, I can't say that the teachers were always dressed like teachers. Sometimes they were dressed more like the students, and that's not going on today. I don't know why that changed. All I can tell you is it did change. I was impressed that the schools themselves were better conditioned as far as what they had the capacity to deal with, keeping the floors clean and painted where they can, that type of thing. So very well done. Last time, you may recall, we came across some security issues. Dr. Cheeseman and I worked those out over a very short period of time. This time, I'm pleased to say that every school that we've been to thus far has been secured properly. Glad to see, Mr. Sheriff, if you're still here. Yes, sir. Glad to see that our SROs are back to sheriffs, and I can also tell you that all of the teachers and principals were happy that the sheriffs were back in there instead of the security team that we had previously. So I think that's changed a little bit of the attitude as well. Overall, I see a whole different attitude in teachers as well as students. Very pleased to see it. If gentlemen, if you've not had an opportunity, I highly recommend you go out and visit the schools in the county and take a look at what's actually going on there. Chocowinity Primary, I believe it was, one of only 2 schools at that level in the state with an A rating, right here in Beaufort County, okay? Our early college high school, same type thing, okay? I mean, we do have work to do, don't get me wrong. There's some great improvement in every one of the principals that was up against that wall. All those teachers, they're fully aware of it, striving toward that. And from my position, I'll do the best I can to support them in that effort. And they've asked me for some possible funding for local things that they need, a floor for this, a track, whatever. I'll see if we can dig that through the budget somewhere or possibly help them get some grants. Maybe even reach out to some businesses and see if they'd be willing to help out with these types of things. But overall, schools are doing a much better job than what I'd seen recently in the past. So last thing I'll talk about is our wonderful airport. You may be aware DARPA has been out on the airfield 25 of the last 40 or so days, flying drones out there. In fact, they broke one of their drones. And as you know, the property that was IBX that was taken over by the airport has the college out there with their fancy 3D printers, I think they're called. Don't get me technical on all that stuff. But they said, hey, if you'll send us the specs, we'll see if we can print it for you. And they did. And just a few hours later, they had that drone back up in the air flying with the part we were able to print right at the IBX, the old IBX STEM building, which is now the college building there. That was pretty impressive to me. Another big thing is their fuel sales. You may recall in the past, the airport has been in the red for a long time. Matter of fact, I think pretty much forever. Fuel sales over there were about 1,000 gallons a month. Some time ago, I was out there, I guess a year and a half ago, and I was at a meeting, and why aren't we fueling the V-22s? Well, we don't have the proper paperwork. We'll get it. And they did. We are now selling about 14 to 15,000 gallons of fuel per month. We're selling more in a month than we were selling in a year. Matter of fact, I got a call from the airport last week, or V-22s. You might have seen all the social media on that, how many V-22s were bouncing in and out off the runway. In one day, we sold 4,000 gallons of fuel. City makes about $1.25 per gallon on that fuel, so that's phenomenal. Looks like our airport's going to be in the black very quickly. We've done so well out there that we now, didn't even know this myself, found it out when I went out and took the tour of the airport a week or so ago. We now have private investors building hangars with their own money that they're going to rent out. Here's the best part about it. At the end of their lease, those hangars turn over to the airport. They become airport property. Same thing with the new IBX STEM building. At the end of that lease, the entire facility turns over to the airport facility. So with that, that's pretty much about it. I'm very happy again with the schools. Congratulate them when you get the chance. Please go out and see what they're doing. Talk to the teachers, talk to the principals, talk to the students. And I think you'll be as impressed as I was with how things are going. And I stand for your questions.
Any questions of Keith?
I mean, he's here to speak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but just, we've got a 15-minute limit on this
Okay.
part.
That was just, you may have heard, I was just speaking with the sheriff. It would be nice if we had some general statutes out of the General Assembly that would allow the sheriff to take a more active role in determining the legal status of people that may or may not seem as if they are not Americans, American citizens.
Right.
And then talk to ICE and see, and refer to ICE what they find out.
So,
Is that
Commissioner,
a possibility?
in my working on the ICE bill that we did pass, which, by the way, that was a battle. We had to override the governor's veto to get that through. And we've literally worked on that bill for, I think, 4 years now. It was exceedingly difficult to get that piece through. Now, I'm not saying we can't do other things. What I do want to tell you is during our work on that legislation, what we did find out is sheriffs are not sworn ICE officials. Ergo, they don't have the latitude that you would by ICE actually coming in or sending a detainer. So they're not supposed to, under law, enforce any immigration laws without the federal government saying, do this.
I'm not talking about, I'm just enforcing the law, just accruing information.
Yeah.
And
Well,
passing
as
it
far as
along.
accruing information, yeah, I think we probably, and from what I heard today, certain situations where fingerprints aren't required. I'm kind of surprised by that. I thought that we would fingerprint virtually everybody that went into the jail. So I would be interested in talking most particularly to our sheriff and my sheriffs in the 79th district and get a feel for, where they're at. Because a lot of times when we think that's a really good idea, there might be a reason that it's not. And I am not a constitutional attorney. I can tell you before I would want to do anything like that, I would want to dig deeply into what are the ramifications? Are we exposing the sheriff to something unnecessarily? And is he allowed to do it within the purview of the duties and responsibilities of a sheriff?
Just one more thing. You probably already realize this, and we've been led to believe as Americans, not me, but a lot of other people through our propagandistic media and other sources, that it is not a cost to have illegals in our nation. And we all know it is a tremendous cost. We know that now. At least some of us do. The smart ones know that. When people find out the cost and that money that is being spent on the illegals, and it's ongoing once they're here, and from a variety of ways, when they find out that, they're going to want changes. I'm thinking they're going to want changes because we're not going to be able to stay a sovereign republic forever if we don't mind our borders.
I think you brought up two specifically different points there. One is the sovereignty of the United States. I can't disagree with you more. If you look back at why Rome fell, it had a lot to do with, I won't call it illegal aliens at that time, but it had a lot to do with them allowing people who were not Romans into their military, that type of thing. But when we look at the cost of anybody, and this is something your county manager could probably give you better numbers on than I could. There's a cost to educating children in our schools. There's a cost of people driving on highways. There's a cost of people using our hospital systems. There's a cost in all of that. If you're not actively paying taxes and contributing to the system, you're creating a burden on society. And that, I would argue, is not just people who are here illegally. It would also account for people who are not willing to go to work when they're able to do so.
But that's another issue.
That is another issue.
That needs to be
but
dealt with
it's-
on
it's
another
one-
day.
It's one that definitely we're gonna have to deal with.
But specifically,
Yep,
the general statutes,
Yep.
to give the sheriff more latitude to accrue information.
glad,
That would
glad
be
to
a
sit
good
down with
thing.
my sheriffs, talk to them about it, talk to the North Carolina Sheriff's Association and see if there's something we can and should do about that.
Any other questions? If not, thank you for meeting with
Gentlemen,
us.
thank you very much. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas, because I certainly won't see you until next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. All right, we're down to items for consent. Is there anyone item that you would like to move for further discussion?
I'd like to pull out item number 7.
Okay, item number 7, the BHM Library, okay. Okay, I entertain a motion to approve the items for.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve? Do I have a second? And we have a second. All right, all those in favor of all of the items except the library appointment, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay. We're down to economic development
Mr. Chairman,
and,
can we go ahead and address the concern? That way we'll have it, get it out of the way.
I'm sorry, okay. That's on page 34. All right, Hood.
Well, what I want to do, the candidate that's proposed here is eminently well qualified. There's no question about that, looking at the resume. The point that I want to make on this that I brought up at the last meeting is the library is not a political organization. One time we sat here and said the schools are totally innocent when it comes to politics. And now we have found out that that was totally untrue, because we're fighting curriculum in schools to try to get to a basic education curriculum as opposed to an indoctrination curriculum, which has been going on in schools with DEI, CRT, all this other stuff. And we have found out that curriculums have been changed so that they don't educate children anymore. They teach them to follow instructions and do what they're told. The library got itself out on a limb when it came out, as I brought out at the last meeting, supporting guaranteed minimum wage, which is a socialist political dogma. You have a guaranteed minimum wage, for instance, if you're a citizen of Russia. You're going to get something, and it's going to come off the government whether you go to work and do anything or not. Guaranteed minimum wage is highly political, highly socialistic, which is the next step to communism. And my comment on this is, this person that we're appointing, I want them to be aware. If they want to get into politics, they need to register and run for office. They don't need to use a position on an appointed board to promote political dogma. That's all. I just wanted to say that and get that into the minutes.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept Dr. Jones
Second.
as one of our board members of the BHM. And we have a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Now we're back to items for decision, economic development. And we're going to have this is a public hearing.
Yes.
So I need a motion for us to open the discussion for public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to go into the public hearing, and I'll turn it over to Susan.
Good evening.
I'm sorry. Why we had you, Katie. All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. Sorry about that,
Oh,
Susan.
no, you're fine. Good evening. I am here this evening regarding the Community Development Block Grant Economic Development Program. This program provides federal funding and is administered by the state to assist local governments with public infrastructure and building-related improvements. Beaufort County anticipates submitting a CDBG, Economic Development Application, within the next 6 months to support a proposed economic development project in the community. There is no county match required for CDBG economic development projects. And as required by North Carolina CDBG program, a public hearing is being held to provide citizens with information and to receive comments regarding our intent to apply for this funding.
Do we have anyone here that would like to speak? Nobody signed up?
Well,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, there's something missing here. What are we trying to do? We're applying for a grant, but a grant to do what? Are we going to fire missiles at the moon, or what are we going to do? What are we applying for a grant to do?
This CDBG is federal funding, and as part of those requirements, we're required to have 2 public hearings. And the first is just to announce our intent to file for this funding.
But we're going to be filing for money to do something with it. What are we going to do with this money when we get it? The public needs to know.
So far, a couple of projects have been discussed with the county manager and with Sue here, and we're still exploring those options. So with the county's employees' input, we will put together an application that makes the most sense to benefit the residents of Beaufort County, and we will bring that back for the second public hearing and share that with you.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to vote for a blank check. And that's what you're asking for, and that's where we get these projects that come up here, and you find out later on that you voted for something that you didn't want, would never have voted for to begin with. Can you give us a scope of the kinds of projects that you're going to use this money for?
So the 2 specific ones, one is the water tank at the,
Above-ground water storage tank for Chakawinity Industrial Park.
so right now, the site does not have the flow. So if someone wanted to bring a large facility here that required fire sprinkler, you don't have the flow. And they're gonna say, well, we'll do a tank, and they're saying, well, no, I need a site ready right now. Otherwise, you score too low and you're out.
I can support this. This is a good project, but you're working on the wrong end of the horse. We have brought this up before. Development at the Chakawinity Industrial Park is blocked by the town of Chakawinity and their zoning. And until you get zoning in that, so that it can actually be used for industrial development, nobody's going to want to develop. This goes across on the state site as a low-level industry, and when the companies are doing their scans for this stuff, they knock that site out right away because they can't do what they want to do in it. This board needs, and I'll put it back on the agenda next month, we need to go back, we need to rezone that site so it can be developed. It is not going to be developed for a service station or a frame shop. And that's the way it's zoned.
I'm sorry, I didn't introduce Kevin Armory from Insight.
Okay, yeah, thank you, pleased to meet you. I mean, so.
Can you speak of, you said a couple that y'all were already discussing.
There's some funds, and I can't remember which grant it is, that's been received by the county to pave a road.
In the industrial park north.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it requires a match. CDBG funds, we're investigating it. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But it appears with the grant that has been received, CDBG funds can be used to pay the match. So that would save the county from having to come up with that 20%.
Gotcha.
So we're exploring
Yes,
both
sir.
of those.
Complete exploration.
Okay.
Now, I want to say this, if you change the scope and you come up with another project, you need to come back and let us know.
Yes, sir. That's what the second public hearing, you'll know what the project is, and you can say no at that time and say, go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Motion to come out.
Okay, need a motion to come out, and we got it, and we got a second. Okay, all those in favor of closing the public hearing, raise your right hand. All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I think you're still up.
Yep, you are still up.
I'm still up.
DC is the new one. Okay, I need a motion for us to go into the public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to go into the public hearing for the community development block grant. Raise your right hand. Okay. Gentlemen?
Chairman, Commissioners, good evening. This public hearing is being held to provide information and receive public input regarding Beaufort County's proposed application for funding under the Community Development Block Grant. Excuse me, Neighborhood Revitalization Program. The program is administered by the North Carolina Department of Commerce, Rural Economic Development Division, under the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. The purpose of this hearing is to inform citizens of the county's intent to submit a CDBG NR application and to provide an opportunity for public comment on the proposed project and use of funds. Beaufort County intends to apply for the CDBG NR funding to support a rural community development fund project to construct an emergency operations center in the county. The proposed project will enhance infrastructure and services that benefit a low to moderate income residents. The proposed project budget is as follows. Public facilities improvement, $4.5 million. Program administration, $500,000, with a total project budget of $5 million. An application is anticipated to be submitted to the Rural Economic Development Division in the winter of 2025.
Any questions?
What is the match for this?
It's the same, there is no match.
There is no match. It's free money.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Well, Katie, I'm assuming we did not have any public, none of our citizens signed up for that.
I want to say something about this. You know, Beaufort County is a large county. From one end of it to the other is what, 60 miles? And it's split by a river. So where in the Pamlico River are we going to build this central facility?
So one of the places that we were looking at was be the park right off of Leggett and Page Road and some of the land property we already own.
But that's not in a central part of the county.
So part of this grant is we have to be in where the LMI meets the low-income, moderate housing. But see, there's other things in this facility just as an emergency operations center. It also stores our EM offices, our EMS offices, as well as a functional EOC, which now our EOC, when it runs, it's always warm because we're working out of that as an office. It also incorporates a new EMS station, which is over 3,000 square foot. Also, a central receiving distribution point that we work with the community college out of Building 15 during a storm, and also a centralized 5,000 square foot warehouse for the county to have storage, climate control storage for anything, paperwork and documents. That's what this facility is.
Well, I have a serious problem with the location that we're talking about building this because it's built off the center of anything as far as service or anything else. You know, I would think you would at least want to run an EMS unit out of it, in which case if there's two buildings in this, you'd build something on the south side of the river near the central, and you'd build something on the north side of the river that would service more of the county. I mean, building this thing all the way over toward Pitt County, you know, we should have been building a school over there in order to attract those people over here instead of building an EMS facility over there that's in the wrong location.
Another reason we picked this area was due to the generated power and the generator water that's already in this location.
Well, look, the siting of this is just wrong for the benefit of the people of the county.
Yeah, and that's where, unfortunately, as a county divided by a river, there is no one spot that's going to equally serve our entire county. And to split it and do a location in two different north and south side, then we as a county are faced with the burden of staffing each location equally, maintaining each building equally. So we have to find that middle ground of compromise. For us, that location in the 17264 area, while it's not centrally located as we look at our county as a whole, it is the best location to either go north or south. So we can come around the point and go to the north side, or we can turn the corner and go around the south side. So with the geography of our county, this is the one that puts the most checks in the most boxes. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. Looking long-term, what's the pros and cons of having two locations versus one? to us, this compromise of a location in the Washington-Clarks Neck area covers that base of being able to quickly go in different directions. And some of the strategies of that location is access to those highways. We can quickly be on 264, we can quickly be on 17, we can quickly turn the corner and come around 33. So I agree, there's challenges with the geography of our county. I guess the question is, if we're only looking at one location, then where else would it be better suited?
Well, that's why we need to do a study on that. We've had some people making some decisions, and the public needs to be more involved in this rather than a few bureaucrats that are applying for some free money.
Well, and that's the purpose of the public comments.
Well, then that site is not settled as far as I'm concerned. It needs to be, this thing needs to be looked at a lot more if we get that grant. But I have an even bigger question. Government seems to grow and grow and grow, and we have more and more and more and bigger, and we need more and more people to staff these things and do these things. This is the first that I've heard of the need for a central location to do something like what you're talking about. So why did this need suddenly appear?
Well,
because the grant appeared, and now therefore we have a need to fit the free money?
It's not all of a sudden. The need for a bigger EOC, an emergency management office, has been something that's been talked about for years. It was a very hot topic after Florence, and as you recall in our meetings, we were all crammed into that office, and even at that time, a number of the commissioners who came to those meetings left that setting thinking, man, we need a bigger location. So how do we fund it? And in those conversations, it was, hey, if you want a bigger location, find the funding. We have a funding opportunity here that we would like to explore, and we're doing that.
Well, and we've discussed the data that we have now that we could justify, and really there was a need to have the EMS unit in that location, somewhere close to that location.
So with the studied location, as DC had mentioned, this is going to be a multi-use building. There's going to be a lot of things that could happen out of this building. One would be housing an EMS unit. Where our EMS unit is right now that serves the Old Ford Clarks Neck area, the majority of its calls, about 70% of its calls, is along 264. So right where that truck is right now, it is not in the best location to serve that area for its call volume. We have that in maps, we have that in distances, we have studied that piece of it. But we are certainly welcome to any other options or locations that you all have. What we're bringing to you tonight is an opportunity for funding that in past conversations, the board has says, if you want it, go find the money. This is an opportunity for us to find that money, and we're asking your permission to explore.
I think based upon the floodplain, the flooding, hurricanes are the major thing that comes to us. I think I can make an argument for a disseminated sites is probably more effective insofar as serving the public than having everybody holed up in a central site during a hurricane. So, so I'm not sure this is a good idea.
And with this building, I don't want you to think of this as where all of emergency services is going to be gathered during an emergency. This is the sideline of the football field. This is where the coaching staff and the reserve players are staying. We're still going to have players forward operating in areas throughout our county. But at some point, you got to have a place to have the huddle. And this is where we would have our huddle.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Brian.
I don't think this project adds any FTEs at all either.
Correct.
Well, and, for a number of years, we had a warehouse, a building at the industrial park where we were able to store in tractor-trailer trucks that came in before and during a hurricane, and we've lost that.
That's right.
We no longer have that, and I'm not sure we even have do we even have a backup?
So we've substituted that location. That was the Committee of 100 building that we used. We used it during Florence, and it was crucial for us. Since that building has been sold and occupied by a business, we are now utilizing the building on Beaufort Community College that they do their fire and EMS training out of. So that small little building by the drill tower where their classes are, that 2-bay area is essentially our warehouse space, and that's what we're limited to for covered stores. Now, if you remember during Florence, we filled that entire warehouse at Industrial Park. We know the spot we have right now does not give us enough space to store. when we start looking at trying to find those community partners to help us that have more warehouse space, then we get into places like our growers warehouse or the warehouse facility in Chocowinity. And those are all, their available space is based on their customer volume. There have been hurricane seasons where they had plenty of space and they said, hey, absolutely, if you need a place to store things, you come here, we got the spot for you. There have been other times where they say, and I'm still storing cotton from last year that we hadn't sold yet. So those are the moving targets we find when we look at a warehouse space.
Any other questions? Okay, and we had no public comments, so I need a motion to close.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, raise your right hand. Brian, tell me, do we need a motion to go any further at this
No,
point?
so this is just, there are two public hearings that are required by the program. This is just the first one.
This is the first one, okay?
Yes, sir.
Wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. You're telling me that all for a project like this that's a lot bigger than you're presenting it as being, that all you have to do is walk in here and say, we're going to apply for a grant to build a new courthouse, we're going to apply for a grant to build this or build that, and this board has no say?
No, sir.
This board should vote on this.
You don't, it's a public hearing to receive public comment. It's a requirement of the grant.
But you're going for, somebody made a decision to use staff and county money and taxpayer money
Absolutely, I
to
did.
apply
That's
for
me.
a grant.
That's me.
That requires
We haven't
the-
applied for the grant
That applies,
yet.
that requires the approval of this board unless you were elected.
$0, which means if the grant is awarded, we will bring it back to you. And our job is to chase every grant dollar there is, because
it's
every
not.
one of those grant
No,
dollars
it's
are
not.
free
Yes, it
grant
is.
dollars.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
If
No.
you want to pay more, then say you want to pay more. But this is an opportunity to go after dollars that are available to help the county not have to pay for things. And I think it's our job to do that every chance we get. Now, we'll bring it back to the board, as they have said, for your final approval. But there's a
There
step
hasn't
in the
been a-
process.
There hasn't been a need described, and this is a great example of administrative taking over the public process.
No, you're absolutely incorrect, because
After
there have
the-
been conversations about a facility for years. In fact, this board voted years ago to set aside $1.5 million to build a facility.
A warehouse.
So, a warehouse facility.
Warehouse.
This is an
No,
opportunity.
you're messing up, that we didn't vote to set
You-
aside
I
$1.5 million
said you set aside
to build an
1.5.
EMS facility,
No.
or we voted for the money for a building at the industrial park.
You voted to set aside ARPA money to do a facility such as this, and that was done. This is an opportunity for you not to have to spend that money. You could get 100% federal money to do that.
Do
I
we
think that's
still
a
have
great
that
opportunity.
ARPA money set aside?
We do, absolutely.
We could use that money to pay for some other county expenses, could we not?
It's one-time money, and this board would have to say, we want to use that for something else, and you have the opportunity to do that. You'd have to pull it out of that reserve fund, but you can do that.
So this board's not in control, the manager's in control, is that what we're saying?
No, this
No,
board
no,
is in
no.
control of everything. You like to say that, but the problem is you must be intimidated by people who want to try to do the right thing for this county.
I'm intimidated by liberals that want to waste money.
Oh, well, somebody
Okay,
who
okay.
would, well, let's define that, Mr. Chairman, because if the county staff is trying to find dollars for the county not to have to spend money, I'm not sure how that's being a liberal. But you can label me anything you want, Commissioner Richardson. I'm happy to take that.
Okay, all right, let's get to the next item. This is fiscal year '24 SLCGP Continuity of Operations Award Acceptance. DC?
Yes, sir. So last month, I come before y'all about the DEN system with the Starlink. And Commissioner Richardson, you asked me with our IT, Ms. Sherry, was she approved of it? Since then, I've talking with Ms. Sherry, and she has approved of it. I've got her email that's actually on the paper. And when it's time to purchase this, she's gonna be there for all the initial trainings. She's gonna be there for the setup. And she even told me it was a great idea, because she remembers during Florence, there was an issue at the Emergency Operations Center, and the internet went down. And she was there. She said this right here would make things seamless during that situation.
Yeah, need a motion to,
I'll make that motion.
okay.
Who is going to have the responsibility for the maintenance of this equipment and the care of the equipment? And who's going to do that?
Yes, sir. So this equipment is for emergency operations, not for continuity of government, but we sold it as continuity of government for this grant. We can use it for two ways. So if we're doing a large search and rescue mission out in the field and we've got 200 responders, which a lot of times happens when we do search and rescue missions on the water, this system allows us to have full-time mapping. We can keep up with SAR topo, do grid patterns, and everybody's on the same page. And through the Starlink with the QR code, we can know where everybody's at all time during a search and rescue, which helps save time and save money and save resources.
But which department is going
Emergency
to hold,
management.
this is going to be responsible for the maintenance and the care and the setup, and if somebody wants to use it, they're going to come to you and make the request?
Yes, sir.
You're going to be in charge of this. I
Yes,
want the
sir.
minutes to show that.
Okay. We had a motion. Do we have a second? Okay. All those. Hmm? Randy made the motion. Randy and Ed, okay.
Well, somebody, we got it. I can't wait to vote for him.
All right.
Who made the motion?
I did.
State the motion.
We got two people here that made the motion.
State the motion.
Say the motion.
State the motion.
I make a motion that we accept this as presented. How's that? How'd I do?
I just wanted you to state it.
I did.
Not great, but it was stated.
Okay. Do you have any problems with us adding in the motion that your department will be
No, sir.
responsible for the maintenance?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. You got that, Katie?
We'll even carry that a step further. Before this device is plugged into any county internet, Sherry or the EIS group will be a part of that connection.
All
That
right.
will not be us plugging that in.
Okay. Thank you very much for your professionalism. All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, we're down to, back to the sheriff's office, and I think this involves a 911 center, Victoria. Good evening.
Well, I'm excited. The 911 board gives PSAPs the opportunity to present projects that they would like to seek funding for, full funding from the 911 board. This year, I put in the request for a project to replace all of our radio equipment for all 5 of our approved seating consoles. These radio consoles have, and now, as of this year, have an announced end of life that we will have to be replacing within the next 4 years. Those projects, normally, the 911 board will fund only about a third of that project. The project in total is over $700,000. So I put forth for the project, this project to move forward and requesting full funding from the 911 board. Our project was chose to move forward, and we were awarded that grant money if the commissioners approve the grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve. Questions? Yes, Tandy?
With us going to a Tier 2 county, how will that affect the grant?
There's no effect that will,
Because in your grant, you mentioned that we're a Tier 1 county,
right, correct.
but we're now a Tier 2 county.
That will have no
Okay.
effect on, I've already spoken with Motorola and the people who this equipment will come from. They're doing the equipment because they already provide our services and maintenance for that equipment. So we're continuing with them, and there will be no, this is not anything that affects radio infrastructure. This is how we broadcast from the consoles.
Right. So end of life is 2030?
Mm-hmm.
So how often do you typically replace the consoles?
It's eligible for the replacement schedule through the 911 board. They request, or they say the best replacement schedule is every 5 years.
Okay. I noticed that there's a 24-inch console that's being included in this replacement. How does that correlate or go in with the 46-inch consoles or TV screens that we approved a couple of months ago?
This is just replacing the screens that are already there for them. That, I mean, we already have a very wide space that they're gonna take that screen down and replace it into. That won't mix with, there's already a designated section for that screen to go.
Okay. And you got 5 consoles, and they're gonna come in, and they're gonna be able to take one console out and put a new console in.
That's right.
Take another console out, put a new
And
console in,
yep.
all in the same day.
All on the same day, business will not be affected. We will be able to move our telecommunicators around and it won't be a problem. They'll do one at a time.
I just want to clarify those updates.
Sounds like you got it under control.
I hope so. I think so.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
This
Stan.
probably doesn't have anything to do with it. However, I just have a curiosity, and I think the public has a curiosity. Now that we have a new city council, and is there any plans afoot, and the sheriff may want to speak to this, to work with the city in effecting a unified 911?
That is something yeah, that would not be something I would be able to speak to.
It would be a savings for everyone, and the city needs a lot of help right now. They're in really bad shape. You don't want to do that?
Sleeping dogs sleep.
I know, we've talked about it many times. I'm just asking the question. Sheriff's nodding.
We got
Wrong way, sideways.
Okay, we got a motion. All right, let's get back.
Mr. Chairman. Hello?
Okay,
I just want to make it clear about one little caveat with the funding piece. If you look at about the third paragraph on page 185, so this is a $765,000 project, and $451,000 of that is grant. The other $314,000 is going to come from the restricted fund balance out of that surcharge fund. Now, we don't currently have that much fund balance available. So what we're doing is we're going back before the 911 board and asking for a refunding consideration. And we'll know, I think in April, whether they approve that, so that we'll make sure we'll have enough fund balance to match the grant. Now, if they did tell us they've never turned it down, so we fully expect that we will get that. There's not going to be any issues.
Also, to plan for that, we will not move forward with the grant until we hear back in April whether we are getting the reconsideration monies. If we do not get those funds, then we will just return the grant and not move forward with the
Right,
project.
that's in writing in this proposal. I saw it in there, what you just said.
Yes, sir.
okay, any other comments? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you very much.
Let me get something clarified, if I may.
Yes.
And the manager probably can give us the answer to this. At one time, there was a local 911 fee that was put on telephone bills, and then I think the legislature took over all of that, and that fee went away, and there's some other fee.
And so there's a flat fee that goes on everything now, and the 911 board manages that.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Which one of you turned the air conditioner on? We got cool air up here, but that's fine. That's fine, Brian. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Do we need to vote on that?
All right.
I vote yes.
You do, but commissioners do have control of certain things.
Okay.
That sarcasm doesn't fly around.
All right. Wes, come on up here. Come on down. You're gonna talk to us about the Aurora Waste Collection Site lease.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Commissioners. here before you tonight because our current lease with the town of Aurora for the Aurora collection site is coming to an end at the end of December. You've been presented with a proposed one-year lease to take the place of our current lease beginning January 1st. The proposed lease rate is $9,000 per year, which is a almost $760 increase over what we've been paying for several years. However, we wouldn't require any additional appropriation of funds over what's already in our budget this year. Luckily, no storms or anything right now, so we're good on our budget right now. The proposed lease agreement has already been executed by the town, and it has been reviewed and approved by the county attorney. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
$700 increase over.
$760.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second? All those in favor?
I got a question.
Okay.
$763, and when was the last, how long is this lease? How
This
long
lease-
was the last lease?
The proposed lease is for 1 year, and that's due to the anticipated changes
How
in
long
our
was the
solid
last
waste
lease?
collection system. The prior lease was 2 years.
2 years.
And we have been paying the same previous rate, or the same current rate, $8,240 and some change, since fiscal year of 2018.
About a 6% increase per annum, something like that.
It's been a long time since it's increased.
Well,
Others
okay,
have
okay.
increased.
It wasn't increased in prior leases?
No, the prior lease did not increase over the one before that.
Thanks.
Excuse me. We have some people talking in the room. We also have some commissioners talking. This is being recorded, and a lot of people complain about the noise in the background. So I ask that you pay attention to the person asking the question and the person making the presentation. Thank you. Any other questions of Wes as it relates to the lease? Okay, did we get a motion, Katie? Got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the one-year lease on the Aurora waste site, raise your right hand. Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much.
And Christina, you're going to come up and talk to us about the Republic Services contract extension.
Good evening, Commissioners. As we've talked about numerous times when we've been discussing the future of solid waste in Beaufort County and developments with the 2 additional sites, we've talked about Republic Services. For those of you that have been on the board for many years, you have dealt with Republic Services for many years. So they have provided the staffing and the operation of our collection sites, as well as the in-county transfer or the trucking to take the material from the collection sites to the transfer station. And then they also take care of the final disposal for us, where they truck it to Bertie County to the landfill in Aurora and make the final disposal. So again, they have been contracted with the county for many years. Our current contract expires at the end of this month. Due to the planned construction of the 2 mega collection sites, it is suggested that the current contract with the Republic Services be extended for 5 years with 2 optional renewals, if agreed to by both parties. Included in the attached extension document is language permitting future contract revisions due to required service changes, such as reducing the number of collection sites, altering attendant duties, etc. All other terms of the original contract remain unchanged. So what you'll find on page 250 of your agenda book is the extension of solid waste service agreement. Again, this is a very simple document. It's very short. I'll call note to section number 1, which goes into the specifics of the possible service changes that may be occurring. We actually conducted quite a few meetings with Republic Services staff, the county manager, West, and myself, meeting with them and talking through what our plan is. But at this time, we were unable to specifically outline the specific duties and the timing and that type of thing. So everyone, the legal team for Republic Services, as well as the county attorney, felt that this simple contract extension would provide us the most leeway. And again, we can, as we are able to further define the services, we will do that and bring that back to you.
And our current one expires December the 31st.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of Christina? All right, I entertain a motion to approve the agreement with Republic. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. We're a little ahead of schedule. Do you want to go ahead and go with the Internet Business Service Agreement?
The pleasure of the board.
Yeah, let's
Keep rolling? I will
let's
roll on. Okay. On the next item on page 252 is dealing with the Internet Business Service Agreement with the Beaufort County Water. We currently have contracts with various companies to provide internet service at our water locations throughout the county. This is basically because our water department facilities were built in phases and at different locations. The water department or the system was started in the late 80s and the majority of it was built in the 90s. So as services became available in those specific areas, we contracted with that service provider. Now, because the internet service providers have expanded their services, now in some locations you actually have a choice of multiple companies that can provide you service. So what we have done, River Street is now offering internet service in locations that they previously did not. They have upgraded to fiber, so we went in and received quotes from them. So what you see on page 252 is we are proposing to change service providers and contract with River Street to now provide internet services at an additional 5 Beaufort County water locations. The new fiber service will be faster and will cost less than our current service with other providers. In order to get the cost savings that they have offered, they do require a 3-year business service agreement, which is what is attached to your agenda item. And again, that you'll see the chart in the middle where it specifies the monthly cost of $135 per site. Another little added benefit to this that Beaufort County personnel as well as finance will enjoy is now instead of us processing 7 individual invoices every single month, all of these locations will be listed on 1 invoice. So we'll only need to process 1 invoice each month. So I request that you approve the attached business service agreement with River Street to provide internet service at 7 Beaufort County water locations.
Second. Okay, got a motion and a second. Any questions of? Yes, okay.
I see that the River Street was already serving 2 of the locations.
Yes, sir.
And how is their service? I mean, how was the service, the support team and all of that? Is
Fantastic.
Good.
The technicians for River Street, most of them are actually our water customers. So when we have an issue with the River Street, people know the technicians, they're able to call them, and we get a very quick response. The other companies are larger national companies, and it's a challenge at times.
And I also see that one of them was on Slatestone Road, so the service is pretty good that you had used in the past.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
Yes.
Is one of the national companies Brightspeed?
Yes.
Okay, and is Brightspeed answerable to you or to River Street?
Beaufort County Water are their customer.
I
We are their
understand,
customer.
but if you have a problem, who do you go to? Brightspeed?
Brightspeed.
Or you go to Brightspeed?
Yes.
I vote against it. Brightspeed offers very poor service.
No. We currently go to Brightspeed.
Huh? We're going to River
Yeah,
Street.
we're replacing Brightspeed.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I wanted to make sure that was clear. That's very good that you're doing it, since Brightspeed is terrible.
We agree.
Optimum's got Brightspeed blown away. Yeah, thank you.
There are days.
Okay, all right. Glad we clarified that. All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we got 6 more minutes. Can you do the next one?
I will try.
All right.
The next item is regarding replacement of Beaufort County water equipment. These are two items that I wish I was not standing here, but it's equipment and equipment breaks. So unfortunately, I'm here. The first item is the main control panel at the Edward Water Treatment Plant has failed. The control panel was originally installed in 1997, so do that math. So it has served its purpose and served it well. As part of the treatment system, and it was provided by Tonka Water. Various attempts have been made to replace components and to reprogram, but to date, they have been unsuccessful when this was typed. Due to the age of the panel, the replacement of the entire panel is required. The total estimated cost to provide the panel, install, and integrate is $145,000. Obviously, that's not something that we included in our annual maintenance budget. And we are continuing to work with Tonka. We're trying to get a temporary fix, trying to go in and do some reprogramming and things like that. We're working with them to do the best that we can because obviously we do not, don't want the plant to be down for an extended period of time because there is a long lead time on this panel. And as of the holidays are throwing me off. It was either last Tuesday or last Wednesday when we spoke with Tonka, and they were scheduling a technician to come down to assist us with that to see what we can do to get us back up and running. And at that time, he'll also do a complete location survey to give us, again, kind of a planned maintenance. Exactly. Planned maintenance. And you will find attached, supporting the agenda item is the proposal from Tonka Water, if you have any additional questions with that.
I move for approval. Okay, we got a motion. And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. You got one more, Christina.
Yes, sir. Wastewater pumps at the Southside Water Treatment Plant. Again, this is the larger treatment plant that is located on Highway 33 across from Southside High School. There are two wastewater pumps at that location. It's 40 horsepower submersible pump that's installed on a rail system in the pit. We replaced one pump a few years ago, and the second pump has now failed. The estimated cost to replace this pump is $35,000. So again, not included in our annual budget. So attached to to cover both of these items is an attached budget amendment, and I would request that you would approve the purchase of the new wastewater pump to be replaced.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the second motion, raise your right hand. Did you? Okay. All right. You've got one more, and this is on, I'm looking for it, 281. Page 281. You okay, Christine?
Apologize for that. Is this the last item or is there one?
Yeah, it's on page 281.
Yes, I'm sorry, okay. Thank you. Yes, construction contract award. If, again, this is testing your memory quite a bit, but McDavid Associates and various contractors are currently working to complete the capital projects funded by NCDEQ Division of Water Infrastructures. Again, if you recall, we have 5 chlorine conversion projects, and I came to you a few months ago and approved change orders that are including SCADA upgrades in those 5 districts. The project scope of work includes a replacement of Beaufort County Water's existing SCADA system as necessary to function with the new components that are being installed in districts 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So again, districts 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7, the replacement of the SCADA is being funded by the capital projects through North Carolina Division of Water Infrastructure. What I'm presenting to you tonight is the replacement of the SCADAs in Districts 2 and District 3. So since we are not doing the capital projects, the county would fund the replacement in those districts. Infomark Automation and Intelligence is the contractor that is completing the work in Districts 1, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we've also asked or proposing for them to do the replacement in Districts 2 and District 3. So again, it would be a total of $90,289,000 in District 2 and $104,245 in District 3.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve, and we have a second. Any further discussion? I'm trying to remember back, Anita, when we were trying to allocate some of the ARPA money, this replacing the SCAD system was part of that.
Yes, sir. There'll be a surplus left of those funds that I'll bring back to the board that we can decide how we'd like to spend those funds.
I got you, okay. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, we're gonna take our 15-minute break, so we'll be back at 7:15.
So this is something we've done every month for the last 10 or 11 months. This is a reimbursement request to WIMCO for the work that they've accomplished on the Washington Elementary School last month. If you look on page 299, the invoice amount that we've been presented is the $3,561,508. The state grant will be paying 80.77% of that, which is the $2.876 million, and our county share of that invoice will be the $684,878. The school is now 48% complete. And the one little difference about this reimbursement request is typically the school meets before the county does each month, and the school has had an opportunity to review and approve it before it's brought to you all. But this month, the school will be meeting next Monday. So you will be approving it tonight pending their approval next Monday. And then after both approvals, I'll be sending it into the state. So my recommendation would be that you authorize the chairman to sign this reimbursement request, allow me to send it in after the school board approves it next Monday night, and then also pay WIMCO their invoice totaling the $3,561,508.66.
So moved. Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Page 322, this is related to the 2020 Essential Single Family Rehabilitation Loan Program that's administered for us by the Mideast Commission through the North Carolina Housing Finance Administration. You'll see that one of the homes at 141 Pine Street was a part of that program originally. There were some issues during the inspection with some floor joists. It was pushed through. They did some soft cost work on it. When they got the bids back, the bids were excessive, and they were not able to keep the home in the program because it was well over the amount that was available. So the home has been withdrawn from the program. What that does is incur the soft cost. You'll see that, like the lead-based paint inspection, the asbestos testing, the radon testing. Those soft costs are to be reimbursed to the North Carolina Housing Finance Administration. Typically in the past, they have waived those, or they have had a program that has taken care of that with the existing money. They have implemented a new program. It's called the Administrative Reimbursement Program, where after the project is closed out, the North Carolina Housing Finance Administration provides additional soft cost for administrative reimbursement at the amount of $4,000 per unit. So there are 4 units in this program. So we've had conversations with the folks at North Carolina Housing Finance, and they say that once we close this project out and apply for it, we will get an additional $16,000 back in the administrative cost, and we'll be able to take and use that against this $44,550 that we have to reimburse them for. So we're not out any funds, we're just flowing the money. So we recommend your approval.
Got a motion. Do I have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the reimbursement to the North Carolina Housing Finance Authority of $4,550, raise your right hand.
I have a question on this. This thing says loan program. This is not a loan program. This is a grant program.
So it's both. It's a reimbursable loan program. It's a reimbursable grant loan program. So
They have to live in the house so many years.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And it's forgivable every year that you live, so much as you live in the house each year. And then I think after the 7th year, it's all gone.
Okay.
So
Okay, you want to go to the NCDOT petition for road abandonment?
yes, sir. Page 363, we've received a request from NCDOT for approval of a portion of 2 roads from the state-maintained secondary road system. That's SR 1938 and SR 1939, Broom Road and P-Town Road. You've got the package, the abandonment package in your agenda from DOT. Public Works has reviewed the request and addressed the issues related to the county's waterline infrastructure. Included also is a relocation agreement and deed of easement for waterline purposes. That's been reviewed by the county attorney, and we would recommend your approval.
I have one question with this. I think this is okay. I just for my own education. The agreement does not specify width of a lease or the location of a lease. It's what I call a general easement where it runs with the pipeline wherever it is, and we have the right to access it for repairs.
There is an exhibit included that maps out the location of the easement incorporated by reference as the Exhibit A.
But it never gives the width of the easement.
That's correct.
This is what we would call a general easement.
That's correct.
Which means you can go anywhere with anything. Okay, that's fine.
We have a motion.
So moved. I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor of the abandonment of Broom Road and P-Town, raise your right hand. Thank you. We're down now to the draft timeline and job posting for the county manager, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 374, this is a draft timeline and job posting from Neil Emery with the association. He's asked that you review it, amend as needed, and then approve the draft timeline and the job posting for the county manager's position. The timeline is on page 375. That incorporates what the board asked for in allowing a 30-day overlap and then giving essentially 2 months worth of lead time. So he's having you make a decision in March so that starts April, May, and then they could be in June 1 for 30-day overlap. And then also he has the advertisement starting on page 376 to 377 that he'd like for you to review and approve, and he'll get those in order.
I don't have a problem with the timeline. I do have a problem under qualifications where it says a master's of public or business administration with extensive experience. The masters of public or business administration, there are a lot of people out there with BS degrees that can do a really fine job. And I don't think we should limit ourselves with that. I think we should say at a minimum, a BS in a curriculum or a BS degree that's approved by the board or something like that, rather than the masters, because you're bucking yourself up to pay a lot of money for something that's not necessarily necessary.
So, Commissioner Richard, I think that's addressed in the second part of that. It says, or any combination of comparable education, training, and experience which demonstrates the required skills and knowledge to perform the duties of the position. So I think from that, the board could look at that and say, yes, we're okay with whatever it is you may present, as long as you can show that you meet those.
But with under the qualifications, it starts off with a master's is required, and I think a lot of people are not going to apply starting off saying a master's is required. The fine print, yes, I agree. It says exactly what you said it says. I'd just like to see the wording changed on that.
I think you just change one word, preferred.
Is preferred. Well, I just want to be, I just want to be sure that we're not locking ourselves in to where only people with masters in public administration are going to apply.
I think it's more important to have the management experience. in some kind of government or city government position. Okay, any other changes that you saw as it related to the write-up?
Are we going to change that?
We're just doing it by consent to change it.
I'd like to make or suggest one change, and it just might be me, because I know that my writing skill is not the greatest. But on the first line, it says Beaufort County is located on Pamlico Sound. And I think the word "the" needs to be between the words "on" and Pamlico Sound.
Actually on the river.
Well, it's on the Pamlico Sound.
Say it's at the head of the Pamlico Sound.
Yeah, well, you need to might as well just say we're in the Pamlico estuary.
If he can't find his way, he
Well, we're not on the Pamlico Sound. Hyde County's on the Pamlico Sound.
Well, the majority of Beaufort County is on the Pamlico River.
Yeah.
So Brian, you make that correction.
So right now I hear 3 corrections. Add the, Beaufort County is located on the Pamlico River, and then change required to preferred under the qualifications.
Okay, I'd like on the last page, almost at the very bottom, as it relates to establishing residency in Beaufort County within a reasonable time frame. I'm always afraid of what reasonable means to different people. I'd like for us to put a limit.
6 months.
6 months? How about 1 year? I had written 1 year. Oh, come on, guys. Okay, I think 1 year is.
That's fine.
You all right with that?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, one year, Brian. Other than that, I don't know how many you sent back your survey or not, but it's pretty.
4.
I have found that asking the question about a valid North Carolina driver's license is a very important question. You'd be surprised how that works.
Yeah. Well, this is.
Brian, was that one of the 4? I think I sent mine.
I don't think he has it yet.
Okay, you guys ready to approve this?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion to approve both the schedule and the write-up that goes with the ad. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, now Katie, we're down to the meeting dates for 2026.
Yes, sir. Every year we set a suggested meeting schedule and then have you guys vote on it. And I usually generally give you these dates mainly because there are other conferences and traveling and other meetings going on. So these are the suggested meeting schedule as presented, and I recommend you approve them.
Okay.
I know it's gonna be very controversial. I know it's gonna be very controversial, but the meeting in May of 2026, I would love to have it changed to the second week, not the 5th through the 8th. It's on the 5th, I think.
The 4th of May.
4th of May is our first meeting.
So it'd be the 11th?
Be the
Yeah,
11th.
I'd love for it to be the 11th. Let it go
The
there.
whole week, Stan? The whole week?
Move on.
Okay.
No, on the 4th, I will be out of town. I'll be back on the 11th.
Make it Tuesday, make it the 5th.
I'll be gone.
back on the 11th?
Yeah, I'll be gone the whole week.
You're gonna be gone the whole week.
Yeah.
You're going to be gone the whole week.
Yeah.
Let me look.
And you're going to be gone the whole week?
On Hawaii.
I'll be back on the 15th.
Yeah, that's getting too late. That's too late. Let's stick with May the 4th.
Okay, good.
Sorry.
Why do we have the September the 14th? What's, Labor Day's, is Labor Day the 7th? And the first Monday is, Oh,
Yeah, I usually do that 1 month on the following week because y'all like to go out of town that weekend for some
Yeah.
reason. So I've taken in last prior years into consideration. That's why I
Okay.
want that one.
It's the latest Monday you're probably ever gonna get.
Yeah.
All right, July the 6th is my birthday. That's not good. That's fine. Y'all can fix a cake.
I was gonna say, Miss Kathy usually sends you in with a cake, so we'll take it.
Okay. We'll go back to that. All right, any other changes?
There wasn't none.
Okay, no changes. You don't need a motion, do you? You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, you want to go to the next one?
Yes, sir. Every year we do what boards and committees you guys are assigned to, and they are in your agenda book as they are presently what you guys are assigned to. They can remain the same, or you can change them, or let me know.
Correct me, I think I resigned on the RPO/TAC, and I think we elected Ed to move up, did we not?
Yep.
Did you make that change? Okay. That was the only change I had. Now, I didn't realize we were vacant on two committees, so.
We're not. I'm on both of those two committees that are shown as vacant.
Okay, so Tandy is on those.
So you'll still need an alternate for the RPO.
That was Randy, wasn't it?
You mean, were you the alternate on the
It was
RPO?
Randy.
I think so.
Where's Tandy?
Okay.
He's not listed on there anywhere, but he's on these.
So
two.
Randy will be the alternate on the RPO TAC.
In the water.
Anybody else want to change? Need a motion? Okay, need a motion to accept these committee assignments.
So moved.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we got two mics on down there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Hood, Joy McRoy.
Okay, the Joy McRoy lawsuit is going on forever. It's been almost 3 years. Woman stole, that we know of, it purported more than $750,000. The fire department in Chocowinity is suing the city, I guess, or whomever, for money that they have in this. Now, everybody sits here and tells me the county doesn't have any money in this, but we certainly collect a fire tax that goes to the fire department at Chocowinity. So does the attorney have anything that she needs to report to us about this?
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay.
Okay, you want to go to the next item, status of lobby on the Senate Bill 391?
Yeah, I think we may have settled this at the last meeting. I think that we're continuing to talk to elected officials about getting some more dates that roads can be mowed.
So what I can tell you, I know y'all had Representative Kidwell y'all spoke with. The question that came to me last time was, when did this get in there? So Senate Bill 391 that was filed, the original bill was filed in the Senate on March 24th of 25. The first proposed committee substitute to Senate Bill 391 was approved on June the 11th of 25, and that is where prohibiting mowing in the right-of-way where political signs are permitted and during the month of May was added. So it was added as a proposed committee substitute by the Senate Transportation Committee on June the 11th, 2025. I have no idea who added it because they don't say who adds it. It was just,
Right.
It was a proposed committee substitute, and that language has stayed in there through the entire life of that bill until it was engrossed.
Well, I think with the board's approval, we need to keep pressure on this to get these roads mowed more because there are certain times of the year that the deer are shorter than the grass. And this is a dangerous condition.
Okay. Your next item is the guaranteed minimum income.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Langley was going to look into this the last meeting. Aren't you on the library board?
I am, but I have nothing to report right now.
Have you inquired and they just haven't? Oh, okay. Well, we're back to this thing that this political activity of using board positions, even on a library board, to be politically active is not what we're paid for. And I would ask the attorney, isn't there some law that prohibits political activity from appointees on some of these boards?
Certainly, and I believe that was the purpose of looking into it further, to see what the nature and the basis of the article with Washington Daily News, whether it was based in fact or opinion, and to then report back.
Okay. And who was going to do that? Langley or you?
I believe that was Vice Chair
All right.
Langley.
I got to meet with him tomorrow.
Okay, you're going to meet with us. So we'll have this at our next meeting. I'm very concerned when I see people who take voluntary positions or staff positions and become politically active from those positions. That's how our school system has gotten into the terrible condition that it's in today, regardless of what Representative Kidwell says. I've seen some of those teachers dress at school board meetings, and it's not quite like he described. Skull and crossbones on a belt is not what a teacher should be wearing into the classroom. So let's understand that there's two views on this thing, and politically active is a serious problem when you're serving in a public or appointed position or as a staff member of an organization. Go to the excise tax?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm sorry.
My purpose in this excise tax thing is as a discussion that the Board of Equalization and Review had having to do with whether excise taxes are being proffered and collected accurately or not is a problem. And I see a lot of deeds myself, and I see deeds that I know money was exchanged in, and they show that there was no money exchanged. I see deeds that, I see also deeds that they claim a lot of money was exchanged in. Some counties, to my knowledge, and the county attorney may have something to report on this, or the manager, some counties have gone to a system where when you present your document for recording, you have to sign a sworn statement as to the amount of money that was exchanged in that document when the document was exchanged. And this will definitely help collections because not everybody is reporting it. You say an attorney takes it, the attorney for the most part would know how much was exchanged. So them making the presentation that there was so much money exchanged usually is not a problem because they get in a lot of trouble if they're caught lying. But an individual walks in there for a document to be recorded and say there wasn't any money exchanged or very little money was exchanged is a problem. So I really think we should take a look at what other counties are doing about this problem to see whether we want to go into a sworn statement, an affidavit, when an item is presented for recording.
Is that a motion?
Well, for discussion right now, I mean, the motion would be to investigate it, not necessarily to do it, but to see what other counties, we need to know what other counties are doing to control the problem. Then we can decide whether we want to do it or not. We may not want to do it, but I do know that it's a problem.
Amanda, you might be able to answer this question. Does every real estate transaction require a HUD statement, even if it's like within the family?
No, it does not require a HUD settlement statement. Typically, HUD settlement statements are used when there is money that is changing hands. I will say that it is the responsibility of the attorney, if an attorney is used to draft the document, to then report that excise tax stamp. I think that what Commissioner Richardson is speaking to is when you maybe have these transactions between family members or people who are preparing their own deeds who may not be accurately reporting those excise tax stamps correctly. There are some counties who will have that sworn statement that you must fill out before you send in your deed. And so it is certainly a tool that is available to you. And I know that some clients will get confused, well, if it's cash, maybe it doesn't count,
Right.
or something along those lines, right? We have to have that discussion because attorneys have to take it then a step further and send a 1099 if money is exchanged, right? So we have some clients who will say, well, the money never hit your trust account, so you don't have to report that. Well, that's not true. We still have to accurately report that on the face of the deed. And so certainly if that's something that the board wants more information on, I'm sure we could look into that.
Can you and Carolyn work on that? And come back and make a recommendation to us?
Absolutely.
Or bring us back alternatives with a recommendation.
I think we're probably collecting everything that has to have a HUD statement with the transaction.
Well, if attorney is involved in it, yeah, I think you probably are. If attorney is involved, although there are cases when you don't have to tell the attorney how much money is being exchanged, and you can lie to the attorney about how much money is being exchanged to keep your taxes down. So, sometimes attorneys get caught in the middle on the thing.
Well, but you can also get in trouble with the IRS if you go through an audit. You want something that shows what happened during the transaction, whether it's with an attorney or.
Well, there's dark money out there too.
Yeah. Okay. You want to go to the federal government
We agreed
shutdown?
to do that, right? They're going to come back.
Yeah. You want to go to the shutdown spending?
Yeah, well, just, the manager, I think, probably has the answer to this. Did we commit any funds, spend any funds during the shutdown?
We did not.
Okay, good. That's great. SNAP status qualifications we've taken care of. Discuss information for the upcoming school year. Right now is the time because we're going to start preparing budgets next month. And I would like to see the school budget presented to us rather than a lump sum, in which case we know nothing about what's going on. And these guys are going out and buying $400,000 and $500,000 curriculum programs that all they simply mean is the teacher doesn't have to do anything. They push a button. It's all on the computer. Got no records to keep and all that sort of thing. And we're not using textbooks when we should be using textbooks. We're not teaching cursive writing. There's a whole lot of things going on there. I'd like to know where the money that we're dumping into the school system goes from the county standpoint. So what I do as a motion here is that they present the budgets this year from both the community college and the school system by purpose and function, so that this gives us an opportunity to decide whether or not we want to approve the budget by purpose and function in order to control things. And a list of job titles and salary of all personnel paid with county funds. This information in the past, when I have requested it, has been presented by the school board, is virtually useless. It's presented in a form that you cannot understand. It's presented on some kind of a code. It's presented on an Excel program that won't print on one page. You have 10 pages you have to tape together. In other words, they go out of their way to give us as little information as they can give us that's usable and understandable. And then a listing of cost of all purchased curriculum. This is a serious problem in the school system. If you go to school board meetings, you sit there and you listen to them approving $80,000 for this year's update to carry this program for another year, and you find out what the program does is virtually nothing. And also, another example is a literature program that has 2,000 items in the literature program, and nobody knows what the literature is. Literature goes all over the place. Kids are coming out of school totally unaware of what a classic is, what an ancient classic is, what a modern classic is. We need to know where our money is going and how it is being used to educate children. And then advertising budget. I ride up and down the road and I see these signs, big signs that say the Beaufort County school system is the greatest in the world. That's education money, and all they're doing is going out and trying to make the public believe something that is totally untrue. The same thing happens with the community college. So I'm lumping the community college and the school system together, and I make a motion that the board request that this information be presented to us for the upcoming budget year in the form that I have presented here.
Okay, we have a second. Randy?
Yeah, the last school board meeting, Steve Rader reported that he was glad to see that cursive writing was being taught in the schools. I was just wondering, I'm a little confused.
The kids I talk to not learning cursive writing, can't read cursive writing, and I've talked to people at the bank and people who are doing business, and they say they have people who have a high school education, they cannot sign their name.
I'll have to get with Steve and tell him he was wrong.
Yeah, you need to do that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I kind of concur with Hood on some of the expenses that the community college and the schools are doing. They're spending a lot of money that don't pertain to education, and they spend it with their friends and buddies. And again, I don't remember ever when I was going to school any advertisement whatsoever on how wonderful the school was I was going to. I tend to learn things, and that was their job, was to teach me things. And it wasn't to tell me that I'm getting a great education without me actually learning things. So I think that needs to change. I just find it somewhat disingenuous to see a billboard, 2 or 3 billboards, see new advertisements on cable TV about how wonderful the schools are doing and what they offer. It just doesn't make sense to me, and then come to us and ask for taxpayer money. Where's that going? We know that they're paying through their foundation for illegals to go to Beaufort County Community College, providing they are a resident of Beaufort County, and although they're not a legal resident of the country of the United States, Republic of the United States. So we're just far afield from where we need to be in educating our children, providing educating children, and how we as commissioners raise the money to give to these institutions to do so.
Okay, any other comment? All those in favor of this motion, raise your right hand. Those opposed? Thank you. All right, you want to go to illegal drug use?
Well, this is a discussion on illegal drug use. We've got people in the Beaufort County Jail now who are charged with murder by use of fentanyl. I forget the exact language for the charges are, but they sold fentanyl and it killed people. So I've brought this up before. We're going into a new legislative session next year on 2026, and I would ask this board again that we need to send a resolution to the legislature, and all people in the legislature for that matter, that we need to toughen up the drug laws for people who are dealing and selling drugs. I'm not talking about users, I'm talking about the people that are selling drugs. And also within that resolution or request should be a statement that if we need to build more jails to hold these people, we need to build them. You won't have to lock them up long enough, but so many times before they'll get the message and it'll go away. That's a motion.
And qualifier. I think we're in a real war on drugs right now for the first time in my lifetime. I mean, I think there's been about 26 to 30 boats that have been obliterated by explosions, which is just a beautiful thing to see. I laugh every time I see one, just boom. And that is taken, excuse me, you can speak in a minute. You'll have the floor, I have the floor now. And what we're doing is by obliterating these narco-terrorists, we are keeping drugs off the street. And we're going to see in the next few years how much help it does render into how many people are dying of fentanyl and other illicit drugs, hardcore drugs. And it's poison. It's poison for our system. It's poison for our people. It's poison for our society. And the only way you extract it is to smote it. And it's being smoked right now in the Caribbean and elsewhere. And it looks like it may be on the ground in Venezuela and Colombia before it's all over with. So this is a war on drugs. Our state needs to get involved. So a resolution could be in order to ask our state to get involved in this war on drugs.
Well, I think the resolution is to the legislature to do what they can do and what they can control, and that is to change the law and make it tougher. It's not just the people that die from drugs. There are a lot of zombie deaths out there, people walking around who have ruined their brain with these drugs, and we continue to let them do it. And if, Commissioner Langley, if somebody is bringing a boatload of drugs to the United States to kill my citizens, I'll kill them on the way. President Trump is doing the right thing. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth.
But we also believe in due process.
Okay.
You are not.
That is due process.
That comes after the biblical teachings.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have a resolution in front of us.
Well, can we say this? I'll write a resolution and send it around to you guys, and we'll approve it at the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need a motion to do that.
Well, I just want to be sure we're going to do it because I think the board has been, a little bit cool towards this in the past, but I think it's really a big issue that we need to try to do something about.
Well, I don't recall what all was in this last bill where they addressed it, but they have beefed it up some as it relates to arrestment, as it relates to if they can trace it back. Where somebody sold it and the person was killed.
Yeah.
That's a murder.
I'm talking about going after just dealers, whether somebody's killed or not.
Okay.
There's a lot of lives out there that are ruined.
Why don't you, on the next meeting in January, have a resolution?
I'll be glad to.
To that effect.
I will do that.
All right. Now, substance use disorder.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a question on that because I saw an article in the newspaper and it had something that I haven't seen as a revenue center for us. And what they were talking about was the money for substance use disorder that is given to the county. So, I mean, and that may flow through in a program that I already know about, but when I saw the article in the newspaper, I'm puzzled. How much money do we get for substance use disorder and how do we get it?
It's the opioid funding.
It is the opioid funding.
Yes, that's what they call substance use disorder.
All right, good. All right.
Brian, you want to read us into closed session?
I can. It's a closed session under GS 143-318-11A56 for personnel.
Okay, need a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay.
Move.
Got a motion and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Action. We're down to commissioner comments. Who's first? Okay.
I think the public needs to take note that of the 38 or 39 million and whatever it is in tax money that we collect from the public each year, we turn around and give 22 or 23 million dollars of it to the education system. Yet this Board of Commissioners does not want to hold the education system accountable for that money. We have homosexuality in your face at the community college is a great example of what's going on within the education system. And we have a public education system that's buying advertising to promote themselves using your tax money against you. I think the public should take a hard look with this election year that's coming up at the quality of individuals that have been elected to serve you on the Board of Education and on the Board of County Commissioners. This whole system needs to be changed. It is ludicrous to think that you're going to dump $20-something million into an education system without ever knowing how it is spent. That's what you elected us to do.
Anyone else? Okay, need a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor, stand up.
take me out there.